You're listening to BQN. Assimilate the audio.
Infinite diversity.
Live long and prosper, and welcome to Infinite Diversity, a Star Trek Universe podcast here on the BQN Podcast Collective. I'm your host for today, Chrissie, back from shore leave, and joining me is my co-host, Thad. Thad, how are you doing today?
I feel like I'm kind of self-sabotaging myself. I keep wanting to get in fights with Ferengi biker gangs, so I might need to work through that.
Yeah, that seems like a bad idea. Biker gangs in general. But at least it wasn't a Klingon biker gang.
Yes!
So that, that's good. All right, and joining us also today is Dan Gunther of Positively Trek. Dan, thanks for being here. How you doing today?
Not too bad. Thank you so much for having me. I'm just thumbing through Dayton Ward's Klingon travel guide and thinking that maybe we need a new edition of that for Ferenginar as a lower decks tie-in.
Well, we saw that research has now been done for it, so yeah, you'd think.
Exactly.
Another example of Paramount's marketing, and I realize it takes a lot to get a book out, but if they had thought about this, we could have had, the Pocket Guide to Ferenginar, or whatever they're called. They could have released that 2 weeks ago, and people would not have necessarily connected, so, oh well.
Oh, that would have been brilliant.
Paramount, hire me for marketing. I'm not, it's not even what my degree is in. All right.
Literally anyone would be better than whoever they have doing it now.
Yeah. I'll put an asterisk on that and say maybe they have somebody who does know what they're doing and they just keep getting told no.
That's also
always
possible.
A possibility.
Yeah.
So I don't want to personally insult that person in case they do listen. And if that's the case, I'm really sorry because I'm sure you have great ideas.
Give that person a budget.
Yeah. All right, well, before we continue talking about this week's episode of Lower Decks, we'd like to take a moment to thank our Patreon patrons who make our show possible, particularly our associate producer, Carl Wonders. Listeners, you can hear your name listed as one of our associate producers for a monthly subscription of just $10 at patreon.com/BQN. And with a monthly Patreon subscription of just $5, you can join our meetings of the Hive Mind, which usually happen on the second Saturday of each month. Watch your Patreon messages for details. So, did we have any Star Trek news this week?
Kind of. Back on Star Trek Day, they announced there was going to be a collaboration between Kid Cudi and Star Trek.
Right.
Kid Cudi is a rapper who I had never heard of until they announced he was going to do a Star Trek collaboration. But they revealed photos of the jacket that's going to be part of that, which looks kind of cool. I don't think I'm going to get one, but it does look kind of cool. It's purple with blue sleeves, and it's got Kirk and Spock on the sleeves, and it says Star Trek. It looks kind of cool. I think a lot of people will probably want to get that.
It's very 90s.
Oh, extreme.
Or like early 90s, late 80s.
It's the thing you would wear to a roller rink for sure.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, yeah, I'm seeing it now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's cool. It's not me.
Right,
but
same.
it's very cool.
No.
Like, I could see a lot of people rocking this, for sure.
Mm-hmm. And I guess he's got a Trek-inspired song
Yes.
that he's releasing. So
Yeah, because he's apparently a huge Star Trek fan, so that's cool.
Mm-hmm.
Love it.
Yeah.
Love it. Very glad he wasn't around to be on Enterprise when they wanted to have random bands show up each week.
Oh boy.
At least we have a context for this now where we could put him in Lower Decks. They could very easily put him in Lower Decks if they wanted to do something like that. But yeah.
Yeah, a Kid Cudi Choo Choo crossover. I mean, yeah, totally.
Yes.
I honestly kind of want to see what would have happened if the producers had gotten their way and had a different band playing in the Enterprise mess hall every week. I kind of want to see that. I mean, it wouldn't have been good, but I want to see it.
Yes. Yeah, and it would be a nice little snapshot of pop and all like acceptable alt rock from the early aughts.
Mm-hmm. I think they also said they specifically said they wanted boy bands to, get the teenage market.
That's right.
So it would have been like NSYNC and the Backstreet Boys. One Direction, that sort of thing.
Nope.
Well, I don't think the Backstreet Boys were popular in the early aughts. That was a little earlier, I think. They were 90s.
It was, yeah.
But like, I don't know. I was not listening to popular music in the early aughts. I was in high school, so you'd think I would have been the age that I would be, but I was not. I was listening to like movie scores. But
yes, that's awesome.
What was I gonna say? There was a related thing that I was gonna say.
Boy bands, Enterprise.
That's it. Scott Bakula can sing.
Mm-hmm. He absolutely can.
Yes.
That's cool.
If you've ever watched the episode of Quantum Leap he was in, but obviously that's like all of them. But one of the episodes of Quantum Leap, he's in an Italian mob family. And he goes back and he first appears at a wedding, and he sings Volare on stage, and it's actually really good.
Cool.
But no, even beyond that, he's I actually saw some. I don't know if this qualifies as Star Trek news, but he's going to be in a musical on Broadway next year.
Wow.
My favorite bit of his singing, by the way, in Quantum Leap is he appears as an actor in a musical version of The Man from La Mancha. And
nice.
Yeah, and I am my Don Quixote. And it's so good. He's amazing. I'm not, as you can hear, but he is so good.
That's all right.
And I apologize to the listeners who, a couple of you probably were going to tell me I was wrong. It's an off-Broadway musical that he's in next year, not Broadway. It's called The Connector.
Okay.
And and when I saw the news for it, I'm like, oh, can I go see that? But then it's a limited performance and it's only going to run for like 2 weeks, so I probably won't. Yeah. But anyway, Scott Bakula can sing, so if they had done the boy bands thing, like, imagine if the Backstreet Boys had come on Enterprise and you got Scott Bakula singing, Tell Me Why.
Oh, man. You know what's scary is if you buy into the many universes theory, like, that's not far off from our reality where that happened.
Yeah,
that
it probably
absolutely happened.
Exactly. And now I kind of want to get hit over the head at a Batleth tournament so that I can go to that universe and find it.
Yeah, that's a thing right there.
Mm-hmm.
I can just imagine, though, because I think about American Dreams, which was on at the same time. Did either of you watch that?
Yes, I did.
Love that show. And it ended on a cliffhanger and then they canceled it.
Oh.
But they've only released the first season on DVD because so much of it revolves around music of the era, and for some reason they didn't do the licensing right, and they're not going back and doing it.
That's true for a bunch of shows.
Right. So that, I'm glad for so many reasons that we didn't have boy bands on Enterprise, but another one would have been this licensing issue. We may not have even had Enterprise available to us now.
Or they would have had the boy bands and dubbed over some other song from other singers.
Oh, yeah. Ooh,
or gone the George Lucas route and just done a CGI replacement band.
Yeah.
Oh.
So, Ferenginar.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right, so we start off with another.
I want to actually say before we go much farther, we should mention the title of this episode.
Yes.
Oh yeah,
Parth Ferengi's Heart Place, referring to Parth the concierge at the Loeb Lounge. That is a riff on a British comedy show called Garth Marenghi's Dark Place, which I have never seen, but from what I saw, it's a satirical, like, it's a fake sort of documentary on the making of a TV show from the 80s that didn't actually exist. And so it has like clips of the titular Garth Marenghi like saying, you know, and this scene we did this and that and things like that, and then they show a completely made up scene that was not real.
Yeah. So nice. I having learned this a couple weeks ago, I went and watched the first episode of Garth Marenghi's Dark Place. For a number of reasons. A, you know, just to kind of get in on the joke, but B, it stars a very young Matt Berry and Richard Ayoade, who are two actors that I absolutely love. I watch a lot of British like panel shows and stuff like that. Matt Berry, if anyone watches What We Do in the Shadows, plays Laszlo. Wonderful, wonderful people. Matt Berry looks like a child. He is so young. Richard Ayoade looks exactly the same because I think he actually might be a vampire. But it was wild. It was nuts. I feel like, you know, chemically assisted, this show might be worth watching in that manner. It is so off the wall nuts. But definitely worth at least checking out the first episode. If you have, you know, 25 minutes you want to throw towards something that will make you completely question existence as you know it.
Yeah, like the only thing that I knew about this before the Star Trek riffed on the title and I looked up some info is that there's a clip that goes around sometimes and people quote it of a guy saying, "I know writers who use subtext and they're all cowards." And that's from an episode of Garth Marenghi's Dark Place.
Yeah, it's so much fun. Like any joke they can throw into the frame they do. So like there'll be a close up on somebody's feet and you'll see somebody walking in the background and it's very clearly like women's legs in high heels, and then it goes to a wide shot and there's a man in the suit walking where that woman was, and just like really shoddy production but intentionally so. It's pretty funny.
Nice.
Yeah, I'll have to add that to the list at some point.
I think it's just the one season and it's like 6 episodes or something. So there's not very much of it. I do intend to watch the rest of it at some point.
See, I both love and hate that they do that with the short seasons. Because something like Black's Books, it's like, oh, it's only 3 seasons and it's like 18 episodes. And I could have gone for many more of that. So, but when you're starting out, it's less daunting. You're like, oh, it's only 18 episodes. Okay, cool.
Yeah, there's so many British shows only get like 5 or 6 episodes per season, and it's annoying.
It's weird, yeah.
Yeah.
But so Ferengi.
Yeah, so I wonder
they must think
these
Ferengi TV shows.
They must think these 10-episode Lower Decks seasons are long.
Yeah, these crazy long North American 10-episode seasons.
Yeah, I don't know how long Ferengi TV show seasons are, but I freaking love that there is a Cop Landlords TV show.
That was so good.
Interesting combination. Yeah.
The satire that I mean, blatant in your face satire, so good. Yeah, that made me smile.
They just lie to you? Hilarious.
And I like how he's like, it's like a hollow novel.
But sleazier.
But sleazier, and you don't participate.
My favorite bit is, though, right before, as one of the Ferengi cops is dying, and the other one says, "Hold that thought, I have to drink this slug of cola first." And
yes.
Boimler says, "Oh, they put the commercials in the show, and then behind him is the Paramount Mountain, and it glimmers for a second."
Yes. Yes.
That was brilliant.
That was a nice touch. All right, well, we'll come back to that.
Yes.
But starting at the beginning, we have some Ferengi that are trying to get rid of some merchandise that they are not supposed to have. One of which is a small
portable
Genesis
device.
They made them portable. That's, oh dear God.
Well, I mean, the other one was portable too. You just needed a large, ship to... I like the idea that they've figured out how to use the Genesis device the way that Marcus intended. I think that's good, because they still do terraforming.
Yeah.
So that's cool. Why the Ferengi had it, I don't know.
Yeah, but the fact that the Ferengi are getting rid of it would seem to indicate that maybe they never did use it as Marcus intended, and they're only used to destroy life on a planet.
Yeah, because the last time we saw one was in Picard locked up in the Section 31 facility, right? So I feel like this isn't generally proliferating, hopefully.
So it's an improvised Genesis device. Something like that. Yeah. All right. Well, I still would prefer it if they actually used it the way it's intended, but that's okay.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, only if they
can
find something other than protomatter in the Matrix, because otherwise it's unstable.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Every ethical scientist has agreed.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Wasn't supposed to be there in the first place, so, The question is, does it actually work without it? This is a whole other conversation.
Well, protomatter was the only way to solve certain certain problems or resolve variable? I don't remember. I need to.
I think it was solve certain problems.
Yeah.
Or something.
I need to rewatch Star Trek 3, I guess.
Yeah.
Apparently.
So, like your father, you broke the rules. Sorry.
It's a whole other.
Genesis is Planet Forbidden.
I want him to be retconned as a Ferengi. In my head, he is.
How can you be deaf with ears like that?
Oh, yeah, totally.
Yeah, he's a Ferengi. So, so they're getting rid of their weapons because Ferengi's going legitimate business now. Ferengis are going straight. And then the mysterious ship that still looks like Slave One comes and kills them.
And we find out that one of the Ferengi on the ship had made a deal with this ship.
Yeah, that was a bit of a... He's like, exactly as expected, or something like that, right?
Yeah, it's like, they said we would make a profit.
Right, yeah.
So,
yeah, I didn't catch that the first watch. But yeah, that is interesting. That's the first time that I've considered it's not Peanut Hamper. And or, equivalent.
I still think it's Boimler. Other Boimler.
Yeah. Section 31 Boimler. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So there was something that was pointed out, I think Brandy noticed this first, or she saw somebody else who had noticed this, but every time it attacks, we're seeing lower deckers plotting against the captain of the ship, or like initiating some sort of mutiny, or like maybe not full-blown mutiny, but expressing displeasure with how things are run and saying they would do better themselves.
That's a good point. I didn't consider that because we see it with the Klingons and we know that that's normal.
We see it with the Romulans, which is obviously normal.
And that's normal. So yeah.
And I guess we would assume it would be normal for Orion pirates as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I had a brain fart and couldn't remember what the other one was. Yeah, so interesting. That may lend credence to the Boimler.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. I'm not sure. I think that's an interesting point, but I don't think that is a direct corollary. I think that's just them saying, "Oh, this is how lower decks work in other ships."
That could be too. Yeah.
I don't think there's like some omniscient being inside that ship that's taking out any crew where they're talking about mutiny.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, no, I took that to if the Ferengi was making plans with them, maybe the other ones had been.
Oh, okay, now I'm seeing what you're saying. Okay, that makes that makes much more sense than the godlike being that's stamping out all thoughts of mutiny. Okay.
Although, in the context of lower decks, equally plausible, possibly.
Yeah. And not only destroying them, but destroying the people they were trying to mutiny against, too.
Right.
Why not? Yeah. Oh, that's good. I like that. Yeah, so we have that, and then we come back, and Ferenginar is about to join the Federation. I have issues with this.
Okay.
Not that they're going to join the Federation, but how in the hell are they going to... You can't have slavery in Federation worlds. You can't have the amount of gender disparity that we have seen on Ferenginar on Federation worlds. It's
So I think
They're bending some rules.
Well, I think part of this is because of the reforms that Grand Nagus Rom has introduced.
True.
We do see clothed female Ferengi in this episode. We also see naked ones. So
We do.
I like that because obviously, even if the law is changed so that female Ferengi can wear clothes, there will be some that would want to continue in their traditional ways, and that's fine.
Yeah.
As long as it's their choice
Yeah.
and not, this is the government's choice. Or their, husbands or whatever. Or another man's choice.
The men who are in their life. Yeah.
I also always felt that, like, once Ferengi society starts to change, it would happen fairly quickly. And this is from one line in a Deep Space Nine episode, which admittedly is not a great episode, but Prophet and Lace, and one of my favorite little bits from that was, I think we kind of find out that the only reason that the Ferengi women and men are so gender disparaged is because of the clothing rule, because I think it's Brunt that says once women can wear clothes, they can have pockets, and once they have pockets, they want to fill them, and they will be able to earn profit. So is the only thing keeping women is like the clothing rule, and there's no actual law about the other stuff? Because it sounded like he was saying there is like an avalanche of things that would happen once they start wearing clothes, which I think is hilarious. And...
I mean, that's not, because we know, because Ishka was charged with earning profit, wasn't she?
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
Yeah.
Dang it. I liked interpreting that as like, oh, darn it, they'll have pockets now. And now our whole society will change.
I think that the idea there was that, yes, if they have pockets, then they'll want to earn profit, which is also a crime, I think, is... But yeah. But yeah, it makes a certain amount of sense that once you relax one of those rules, you're going to relax all of the similar ones. So I would assume that, yes, you cannot join the Federation if you are not giving equal rights to all of your people.
And I also liked the actual kind of capitalist argument in that episode for granting women rights and stuff, is like you have a greater workforce now, you have more injecting into the economy and stuff, and
that's
like that
how
was
it
kind
happened in the real world.
Yeah. So, I mean, I could see shrewd Ferengi people seeing opportunity and in equality, and so I feel like it would happen fast.
Yeah. I've got a very brief Chrissie's History Corner about that.
Ooh.
Because I also, that is also one of my favorite parts of that episode, and it's because, to me, it harkened back to a suffragist by the name of Alice Miller, and she wrote a lot of satirical poetry and put it in a book called Are Women People? And so she has, and this is like in the 19-teens, around there, but she has a list of why we oppose pockets for women. And
oh wow,
yeah, and it's just it's beautiful because it's basically the list of why women shouldn't be able to vote. Great majority of women don't want pockets. If they would, they'd have them. Women are required to carry enough things as is without the additional burden of pockets. Women who have pockets won't use them. There would be dissension between husband and wife as to whose pockets were to be filled. It would destroy man's chivalry toward women if he did not have to carry all of her things in his pockets, but of course she's carrying other things already, so, because it would fly in the face of nature. And then this is my favorite one. Pockets have been used by men to carry tobacco, pipes, whiskey flax, chewing gum, and compromising letters. We see no reason to suppose that women would use them more wisely.
That's an actual good argument.
I like the
funny.
argument that because men wouldn't be able to carry things for women anymore, as if every married couple doesn't have the man giving the wife things to put in her purse.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yep.
Oh man.
No. So pockets. Clothes and pockets for women. Yeah. Yeah.
And
cool.
Unfortunately, women's clothing still don't have usable pockets most of the time.
No, they don't. It doesn't. You're actually better. The pockets that were available in like a 19th century dress were better than what you have now. Not that you should go around wearing 19th century dresses; they're very uncomfortable. But
like, I truly can't fathom the idea of like leaving your house without your phone and your wallet and your keys in a pocket. Like, that's just how life works for me. But for a lot of people, that's not what they do.
Nope. This is why I buy men's jeans. Okay.
Fair.
Yep. So
they're probably cheaper too.
They are. Yeah. So they are. They've laid out all of the stuff on the table for a nice spread to welcome the Ferengi. Included in that is the lovely Enterprise cheese board that you can buy on StarTrek.com.
I have one.
Clever marketing within the episode.
And this is the second time it's appeared. It was in an episode last season as well.
Oh, I forgot about that. Yeah. I suppose this time it was supposed to be, what was the ship they were with?
The Toronto.
The Toronto. I was about to say the Vancouver.
Yeah, I wanted to talk about that too, although perhaps Dan should. But yeah, the Toronto is the second Parliament-class ship we have seen on this show, the first being the Vancouver, so I think we have a trend now.
Yeah. Oh, I like that. It's a Parliament-class ship, and it's named after cities in a country that has a parliament.
Yep.
I didn't make that connection.
Nice. So, as a Canadian, I have to be thrilled at, the USS Toronto, Canadian representation. As a Western Canadian, I'm fairly certain I'm contractually obligated to hate it because it's the Toronto. So,
Well, maybe next week we'll get the Edmonton.
That would be very cool.
There's more than 2 ships in the class, I'm quite sure.
But this also opens up the possibility that we have the USS Vulcan in the Parliament class.
Yes!
Or
I hope we see that.
the Sheer Car, or yeah. That would be
There's
cool.
a Shikar in Canada?
Oh, no. I was thinking cities on Vulcan, because have they mentioned a Vulcan parliament? Never mind. I went down a completely...
I was
talking
Vulcan,
because of the town of Vulcan in Canada.
You could, yeah. That's clever. Yeah, never mind. I'm with you now.
It's all right.
Well, I mean,
it's all right.
I don't know how blue you want to get with the podcast, but thanks to Newfoundland, we could also have a USS Dildo, so...
Amazing. Last week's episode had an explicit tag, so you're fine.
Okay.
Yeah, no, we're good.
Because we discussed the usage of the F word in Star Trek because of the prominent usage of it in that episode. So of course, it was easier to just say that this is to mark the episode as explicit than to bleep every single.
Yeah, that would have been bad for people's ears if they were listening in headphones. Beep, beep, beep. Anyway, so, yeah. Ron plays dumb. Lita negotiates. I love that.
I would say that it is freaking amazing. Max Grodenchik has not played Rom in like 25 years, and he doesn't miss a beat. He is immediately Rom.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Absolutely. There was like that half second where I was like, oh, he's playing really dumb. Like, but then the faith in the writers of Lower Decks kicks in, and I'm like, okay, they know what they're doing. Like, they wouldn't make this mistake. And sure enough, okay, you understand very quickly what's happening.
The moment when he went baseball, and when Lita handed him the baseball, I'm like, oh yeah, no, okay, this is a ploy.
Yeah, exactly. There was a moment I paused it, and it was just it's a wide shot of the conference table, and Rom has this like goofy look on his face. Lita has this shrewd look on his face. The Admiral's looking at them like, who? And Captain Freeman is looking directly across the table at Rom and Lita like this. And like everybody's intentions are laid bare in that. I was like, oh, this was the perfect pause.
Nice.
And I guess like this doesn't translate well to the podcast, but I just realized that. But yeah, Captain Freeman's giving like a really like, shrewd look across the table. Rom looks, like he's being goofy, and Lita is like eyebrow raised and in charge, and the Admiral is completely befuddled.
I like right before Rom and Lita show up, the Admiral was telling Freeman it'll be a breeze, and he's saying that with all the reforms that Rom has made on Ferenginar, it makes Moab 4 outside the dome look like Moab 4 inside the dome look like Moab 4 outside the dome.
I guess you had to be at Moab 4.
Yeah, which is a reference to the Masterpiece Society in TNG.
Yep. I had to go look that up because I was like, I know Moab 4, but I don't know why. So then we have our crew on travel guide duty.
Love it.
Which, that's just entirely too much fun.
I love that this is a thing that Starfleet crews do at planets. That's just like send some of the junior officers for travel guide duty. That's great.
And the fact that there are no married couples on the Cerritos because they are statistically the horniest and least romantically committed crew in Starfleet.
And everyone's like, yeah, that tracks.
Yep. And we get some nice. Okay, so my first time watching this, anytime we interact with DS9 characters, I want to see Mariner involved there.
Yeah.
Right. But it wasn't until I watched it through the second time and I saw what was going on with that. It would not have been good to have her there because if she knows Rom, then she would have known what was going on.
But also, she wouldn't have known Rom because she was presumably stationed after DS9, the show ended, and Rom leaves the station to become Grand Nagus at the end of the show.
Was that established? Because I thought she was there during the war.
Was she?
When we get that flashback about the that creature her friend was dating that was pretending to be human, and she's got the big hair.
Yeah, but that wasn't necessarily during the war, was it?
Oh, I thought it was.
I mean, they were wearing the gray and black uniforms, but that doesn't necessarily mean...
No, that doesn't mean that's...
Yeah.
I think regardless, though, Mariner's a character who, like, does her research about that stuff. Like, she knew about what Janeway did with Tuvix and all that stuff. So I still feel like...
she's friends with Ferengi.
Yeah, if she was there, she'd be like, oh, this... I mean, whether the Admiral would have listened to her and her mom anyway, it seems like what was going to happen was going to happen. But, but yeah, she would have been very clued in very fast, too. Yeah.
That's fair.
Yeah. So, but anyway, Mariner's dealing with her own issues of trying to grow up. Have you guys ever seen the movie World's End, or At World's End? It's the last of the Cornetto movies. Okay. No. And it's all right, so Simon Pegg and
Nick Frost.
The guy's name I can't remember. Yeah. And so there's the Shaun of the Dead, and then there's a cop movie, and then there's this one, Hot Fuzz. Thank you. And then this one is
this is the only one of those three that I haven't. Yeah.
Oh, it's so irrational. It's beautiful, but part of the story is this group of friends, and there's just the one guy who has not grown up, and he's sitting there and he wants to drink everything and start fights and cause all sorts of problems, and the other ones are trying to tell him to grow up, and that's all I could think of with this. That's Mariner. Yeah, it's a very classic look for the post-college. There's always the one, who shows up, and you're like, we don't do that anymore.
I feel like there's some people in the audience that would get the I mean, not the best movies in the world, but the Stifler character from the American Pie films.
For sure.
You're right. Yeah. Absolutely, yeah. Yeah. It's been a long time since I thought about those movies.
I bet those movies probably don't hold up.
I'm sure they don't. So Mariner is continuing to try to figure out how to grow up. I think she's dealing with some anti-authoritarianism too. that's not necessarily a childish kind of anti-authoritarianism, but more of like a just, that's her mindset on things. Or maybe it is childish, I don't know. And then Boimler discovers television.
I like Boimler's kind of a proxy for those of us, and I count myself in this group that probably strongly thinks like, oh, I'm above the advertising thing. It doesn't affect me like it does normal people. I'm aware of, Boimler's like, I'm from a post-scarcity society. This is all ridiculous. And just pulled right in, right? Mm-hmm. And I mean, we all step into those pitfalls a lot.
Yeah, and it also applies not just advertising, but terrible TV shows as well. Like, yes. I will often say, oh, I'm above that, but then I'll start watching something like, okay, it's oddly compelling. I have definitely watched my share of weird reality TV shows that there's no reason for someone to actually watch.
Yeah, so Boimler gets sucked in. And then I saved the best for last because platonic Tenderford.
Okay, so they clearly do have feelings for each other. That's why they keep blushing all the time, right? I mean,
absolutely.
Like, they're not ready to admit it, but they absolutely do have feelings for each other.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because if they didn't, then this would just be funny and they would be able to play it off for laughs the whole time.
Yeah, exactly. But it gets a little bit too real a couple times, which is where the tension comes in here. Absolutely. And when they walk out in, Tendy's in the nightgown and Rutherford's in the, evening suit kind of thing or whatever.
That's not a nightgown. That was a after five dress. Was cocktail dress.
Yeah. Cocktail dress.
A slinky dress. Yeah.
There we go.
It was slinky. I will give you that.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. Nightgown, not quite, but but yeah, when they see each other and like there are things going off in their brains that they don't want to confront.
But it's adorable too in that same way. I'm glad that they're not leaning into it though.
One of the things I just love the parts of Ferengi culture that make absolute perfect sense for Ferengi, in that, like, when they go to the front desk and then he yells, "Congratulations, these people are getting a special deal," and all the Ferengi in the room are just like, "Oh, a special deal!"
Yeah.
And that apparently lying to get a discount is one of the worst felonies you can commit in Ferenginar.
Which makes sense.
Perfect sense.
Totally.
Yes.
I also absolutely love that they go for dinner at Star Trek The Experience.
Yes.
It'll be like work.
Because that is most definitely, yes, an homage to Star Trek The Experience from Vegas. And Mike McMahon even has said so on Twitter, that he only went there once, but it left an indelible imprint in his mind, and he had to, which fair.
I'm sure.
Because we had the ships hanging from the ceiling, just like they did there, the people walking around in Starfleet uniforms, including that one in those velour uniforms that used to catch fire. Yes. So this is now apparently a thing, that everything in the TOS era used to catch fire because
or explode. The
right, that's
tricorders.
I was getting at, because in Those Old Scientists they talk about how the tricorders used to explode. Now apparently the velour uniforms
explode.
Explode, you say?
Oh. Yeah. It works. It works.
I love that security are wearing TNG security uniforms.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I love from the Ferengi perspective, you want to do like some sort of themed thing. Where are you going to go except to a post-scarcity society which has no concept of copyright?
That's a fair point. Otherwise, you have to pay ridiculously exorbitant licensing fees. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and the Federation would not do that. Oh, that's beautiful.
So, if Paramount Marketing, wanted to do something, they would open this actual like restaurant as like a pop-up somewhere. But they won't.
No. Although they did do that with 10 Forward.
That's true, they did.
So that was something, But yeah, that's it's unfortunate that we're not going to have somewhere to go like that. So I think the Tenderford thing is fun. I think they've been playing at this from the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
But I love that they're not following through with it as we would expect with like a Ross and Rachel thing, or whatever the modern equivalent of that is.
What a coincidence. This is the most famously platonic group of friends on the ship.
Oh, yeah. Mignone.
First of all, is he doing a food blog? Is that what he is?
Yes.
That's wonderful. Like, I want to see them publish those now.
And it makes perfect sense that Miglimo would do food reviews on Ferenginar where they eat grubs and things, because that is absolutely the kind of thing Miglimo would eat.
The bird is going to review the food that's being made by the amphibians. Mm-hmm. I always assumed Ferengi were like frogs.
Yeah, seems.
Yeah. This is the rain. I don't know. But yeah,
Can I interest you in our homewrecker package?
Yeah. I thought it was interesting. There's a little bit of that Ferengi traditional values type thing, because there's the whole run of like, well, because we can only do this with the two of us and not the three of us, and I could just see that makes perfect sense with the Ferengi because of the keeping the women naked and all of that, and it also makes sense within the concept of that would be a kind of a conservative society in that way. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, I have to wonder, there's profit in that. You can sell things for thruples, but
there have to be Ferengi
not
polycules.
That place.
There gotta be. There have to be Ferengi polycules.
I would imagine. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So then we go back to the negotiations.
And, across the street from the hotel, near the Museum of Gambling and the Museum of Haggling, there is the Maximum Umox Rub Dungeon.
Yes. Well, and wasn't there something? Was it that or something else that was advertised as all the fucks you can give or something like that?
I missed that. Also, Ferengi libraries go hard.
Yeah.
No one's read a book here in thousands of years.
I love how they've leaned into the casino thing, because we associate the casino. It's like, Cork runs a casino, but of course the whole planet is a casino.
Yeah, if your society is dedicated to earning profit, then your whole world is going to look like Vegas.
Yep. And it looks like the thing was just an all you can fuck, or all you can,
Yes.
Stars and what do you call punctuation marks, which is hilarious. Oh, right. Okay, so then we see, I know we're jumping around, but we see the Dominion War Memorial.
Yes.
Which is just
dedicated to
so
lost prophets in the Dominion War.
Yeah.
Gotta hand it to you, Ferengis. You're on brand.
I want to know more about this. So there's a few different ways you can go with this, because you can go with each one of these individuals who died during the war may have made this much money in their life. And you can go with each of these individuals who died in the war cost us this much because we had to be involved in the war. And then you can also go to the whole, like, here's how much we could have made as a society during the war if we weren't having to fight. There's like so many different ways you can go with that.
I doubt it has to do with individuals dying, other than it's like anytime there was a reason for the numbers to go down on the balance sheet, that's probably recorded on that.
It's like loss of ships, loss of
of course,
loss of opportunities. Yeah.
An ally being occupied, so those trades no longer happen. Oh, we can't trade with Beta Z now. Shoot, that's a whole sector of the economy now.
Yeah, that sort of thing.
Ferengi bring to Beta Z. I don't know. Yeah, but it is on brand. It is definitely on brand. Also, again, marketing. If they don't have the Ferengi drink hats with the ears and the straws at I don't know, Las Vegas or whatever. That's a lost opportunity as well.
I was actually shocked way back when, during Star Trek The Experience, they didn't have that. Like,
Yes.
that feels
That's a good
like
point, yeah.
that should have happened.
Obvious. Yeah.
So I'm
it's a good...
so thinking about Ferengi on Beta Z, my thought that just occurred to me is, because Betazoids can't read Ferengi minds, Ferengi would be the perfect casino employees on Beta Z.
Oh, yeah.
Because they wouldn't be able to cheat.
Yeah, there's probably a Ferengi-run casino on Beta Z. The problem is if everybody at the table is Betazoid, you just read each other.
Yeah, there's probably a lot of single-player blackjack.
Yeah, you'd have to be, lots of slot machine type things.
Yeah.
As a total aside, my brain always starts to wonder how Betazoid society operates. Like, you know, a lot of things similar to our society, but how would they work in Betazoid society? Like,
yeah,
nobody would have passwords on their computers, because what would be the point? Right? Like things like that. Like, it would have to be a way more open society. Anyway, my brain starts going down this line.
Dan, you assume I know the password on my computer, so someone would be able to take it from my mind.
Yeah, but you know where to find it in the document on your computer.
Yeah, and in that moment when you look at it,
that's fair. Yeah.
So, yeah, I don't...
I have wanted to see interaction between the Qowat Milat and Betazoids, because you have the absolute candor, and you have somebody who knows exactly what you're thinking. So I think they would work very well together.
Totally, yeah. Well, and with the Betazoid security from last episode, like, they've got some skills. They could team up with the Qowat Milat. Anyway.
So then back to the negotiations, and Freeman out Ferengis the Nagus, or we can say it that way, or we can say there's a situation created where that has to be the case. That sounded strange. That's right. I love that the whole thing is a setup so that the Ferengi don't want to join an organization that looks like they're full of people they'll be able to run over. Yeah. Which is something I think all Ferengi think about with the Federation. I think they look at the Federation and go, there's a bunch of suckers. We're going to make some money, assuming we run into the ones who have money. So...
Well, if you don't need money, then you don't need mine.
Yep, exactly.
Such a good episode.
And we get a new rule of acquisition. Small print leads to large risk.
Technically not a new rule of acquisition. It has never been shown on screen, but it was in the books of the Ferengi Rules of Acquisition by Quark, as told to Iris Duhembear, and the Legends of the Ferengi by Quark, as told to Iris Duhembear and Robert Hewlett Wolf. Fun fact that exposes just how nerdy of a kid I was, which, we all didn't know. I had Legends of the Ferengi on cassette tape and used to listen to it when I was falling asleep when I was in middle school.
Oh, wow. I loved Legends of the Ferengi. That was such a good book.
It was good,
That was the one that pointed out to me that it was the way they set it up. There's a rule of acquisition called always have sex with the boss. And the way it set up the rule, and I remember junior high me at the time going like, whoa, not having seen it from that perspective. It's like, keep in mind on Ferenginar, no Ferengi women are in business. There are no Ferengi female employees, and therefore no Ferengi female bosses. All employees and all bosses are male. With that said, we introduce the next rule of acquisition. Always have sex with the boss. And I left it at that.
So,
and I love it.
The audiobook is read by Armin Shimmerman as Quark.
Oh, that's wonderful.
And it's amazing. I think he had the teeth in when he read it, because he sounds just like Quark.
That's
He would have had
great.
to have, yeah. Well, he said he had to do that for the episode last season, so
Yes.
I would imagine.
Interestingly, someone asked one of the Lower Decks people on Twitter about that. None of the Ferengi were wearing teeth for this episode. It was all just... They all just managed to do the voices.
The one guy, Mariner's friend,
Quimp.
it's not like we've heard him,
Right.
before.
We've not seen him on screen.
outside of the cartoon, so they
Yeah.
wouldn't have had to establish.
Right, but they had voices
But Max
that
Gradinchuk,
sound very, like, Ferengi. Yeah.
Toothy, yeah. It was good.
But I like, Max
I
can
didn't know
do...
about
I
that.
knew that Max could do Rom without the teeth, because he always does it on stage when he's at a con. Because everyone always asks him to do the Moogie voice. The Moogie yell. Moogie.
That yes. The Rom's a little less toothy and a little more squeaky, so I think that probably helps. Yeah. So the Ferengi are going to join the Federation. It's going to be interesting.
Yeah.
So I made a comment in another review of a different episode a few weeks earlier where I was like, one of the things I want for Lower Decks is to have them have some sort of big impact on the Star Trek universe, something of import politically. And
Here we go.
Here we have it now. Like, this could be a thread that gets picked up maybe in Lower Decks again, but maybe somewhere else along the line where they reveal the Ferengi have now finally joined the Federation, and it's all thanks to the negotiations done on the USS Toronto and Cerritos back in whatever year.
Yeah, and it does
Be wonderful.
because we see Ferengi in Starfleet in Discovery.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So they've done it. They've had an impact on the wider Star Trek universe. I love it.
Watch there be an episode next season all about the Ferengi's attempts to get the Klingons to join the Federation.
Oh, that'll be good. That would be very good.
You know what we could do, Lita says. Okay, well, let's give it a try.
Anything else we want to cover on this one today?
In Cop Landlords, the
Oh, yeah.
dog that was over 25 pounds was a unicorn dog from
The Enemy Within.
TOS.
Yeah.
Yep,
Yes.
and it might have been under 25 pounds if he hadn't been storing a gun inside it.
It's a heavy gun, though.
When Mariner first meets up with Quimp in the bar, she orders a dagger of the mind on the rocks.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I would have liked to have seen her order the thing that she introduced to the Enterprise crew in
The
those old
Orion,
scientists.
whatever it was called. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, the dagger of the mind's great. Just, those little connections.
And I also liked that the security that dragged Boimler out of the hotel have the plasma whips from the last outpost.
I didn't catch that. Oh, that's perfect. That is perfect.
Now there's a mention that I think Mariner makes about crashing an Oberth.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. No, yeah.
Did we hear about that before? Has that been mentioned
don't
before?
think
I don't
so.
think so. Yeah, Quimp mentions it. He's like, well,
Right.
that apparently was the last time Mariner got demoted, was when she crashed an Oberth class ship.
So I want to see this now, or
Yes.
at least learn more about this.
Yeah. Well, I think that's the first time we've had a clue as to why she was ever demoted,
I think so.
other than
specifically.
self-sabotage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They've always made
Yeah.
veiled references, but never said anything straight out. Yeah.
No. I
That
do
actually
love
makes sense.
the digs on the Oberth class that we get in Lower Decks. Like, I think to Anna last season said, I didn't serve on an effing Oberth to or whatever. Yeah.
I mean,
That's right.
the Oberth class does kind of suck. Let's be honest.
Oh yeah.
It's no Galaxy class, that's for sure.
There's a reason that the Grissom got assigned to someone like JT Esteban and not, Starfleet's finest.
Yeah.
But he'll have to
Prepare
check.
for
He'll have to
his
check He'll have to check back with Starfleet to find out what that reason is.
Yeah, and prepare for evasive. Prepare for evasive? Just start evading. God, that guy.
Why are you preparing? You're always preparing. Just do it.
Surprised he didn't call back to Starfleet headquarters to find out if he should go to evasive maneuvers.
How does somebody like that get a captaincy? I mean, really? Really?
I love Star Trek
Failing
3
upward.
is a lesson in terrible Starfleet captains, because you also got
Styles, yeah.
yes,
Yeah.
Styles with his riding crop, or swagger stick, I should say.
Swagger stick is what they call it in the novel. Yeah.
Well, that's what they call it in the actual military as well.
Oh, okay.
It was a thing that British army officers used to carry around, possibly still do. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
You can get a U.S. one, but my understanding from people I know speaking in the Army is that if you actually tried to carry one around in the U.S. Army, you would be mocked mercilessly.
I could see that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But like, it is official. Like at a certain rank, you are allowed to. There are certain ones you can use, but yes.
Fun.
I want to see the requisition form for a swagger stick. Ugh.
I think you have to buy it yourself.
Oh, I'm sure.
It's kind of like how there's also an official U.S. U.S. Army uniform cape that you can wear, but you have to buy it yourself. It's thousands of dollars. Like... I have a friend in the Army who really wishes he could have one, but he doesn't. He can't justify the cost because you can only wear it with like the high, like the fanciest dress uniform. So like you would use it like once a decade.
Yeah. Yeah. But at least with a cape, you wouldn't have to worry about whether you still fit in it a decade later.
True. And it might have pockets.
It might have pockets. I had something pop in my head, but now it's gone. Oh well.
I think I'm going to watch Star Trek 3 this afternoon.
I think so, yeah. I think that's a good idea. Watch that. All right. Well, I'm not going to try to look for deeper meaning here. As I often try to do with these episodes, because we have most of the time there's deeper meaning and there's just not here. I do appreciate. Yeah, it's Lower Decks, and it's pure Lower Decks with the moment at the end with Tendi and Rutherford climbing into the Jeffries tube and that nice little visual gag. So, all right.
Oh, I liked the joke at the beginning when Ransom comes in and tells them they've been assigned to guidebook duty, and he like doesn't know how to address them. He's like, Lieutenant Junior Grade, Lieutenant Junior's grade, Lieutenant's Junior Grade.
It's that one. It's
it is that one, by the way.
Grade. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's like attorneys general or courts martial.
Yep. Absolutely. I do love that Rom and Lita have a Hyperion servant.
Yes, like Mahar do.
Yeah, like Mahar do, and like acting Grand Nagus Brunt had, and we have yet another Hyperion servant.
Oh, Brunt should have been in this episode.
Hyperion servant
should have.
too.
Yeah.
That would have been cool if Brunt FCA was here.
Oh, totally.
Like, no, he
he
should
could
have
have
showed
arrested...
up to arrest the people who pretended to be married. Yes.
Oh, totally.
Oh, and while we're on it too, I forgot. Dave Foley was, I think, Parth.
Oh, yes,
that's right.
Dave
Yes.
Foley from
Yes,
Kids
he
in the
was.
Hall. Yeah. He tweeted about it.
Yeah, he was so
That's
excited
pretty
to be
cool.
in Star Trek.
That's so cool.
I love that you get that so often when when an actor shows up in Star Trek, then they'll talk about how I've wanted to be in Star Trek my whole life. It's like, I can relate to that.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. And that's not something we got to see in Legacy Trek.
Yeah.
Or whatever we're calling the older Trek now. But yeah. All right, well, Dan, thanks so much for joining us today. Where can listeners find you online? And is there anything upcoming or current you'd like to plug?
Well, best place to find me is the Positively Trek podcast. That's the podcast I do with Barry DeFord, and occasionally other people doing some stuff. It's been a little hit or miss lately. I think the both of us have been sick at various times, and things have been happening, but that should be back on track. And also my YouTube channel, Kurtratz Productions. I'm working on getting that kind of geared up once again, and on the go. And I guess Twitter, for lack of a better place right now. Ugh, at Kurtrats. But the Positively Trek discussion group on Facebook. If you guys haven't joined, it's
I don't
awesome.
think I am in that, actually.
You should join. It's so great. We weed out all the problem people really fast, and it's
nice.
so
that's
wonderful.
good.
But
I have totally neglected my Facebook lately.
So that's pretty much it.
Oh no, I am in that one. Never mind.
Oh, good. Good.
I'm in I don't know, 40 different Star Trek groups, so it sometimes gets...
Oh my god, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I'm in there too. Okay. All right. Thad, where can people find you when you're not setting up a baseball team on Ferenginar? Recruiting for a baseball team on Ferenginar. There we go.
I think most of those games would be rained out. Best place to find me
all
is
indoor stadiums.
probably still on Twitter. I am at Tyrannicus. That's TYRANICUS. You can also catch me on Blue Sky and Mastodon, same handle there. And you can hear me on the podcast I do with my friend Carl called License to Spiel, where we talk about movies and shows that we watch and want to talk about. That's License spelled with a C like the British do, because we started out as a James Bond podcast. Chrissie, where can people find you when you're not lying to get a discount?
I've never lied to get a discount. I've never lied in my life.
I suspect both of those statements are false.
Yes. Yes, they are. But the statute of limitations is over, so... In addition to here on Infinite Diversity, of course, you can find me on History with the Szilagys here on the BQN. That's that twice-weekly short history podcast I do with my fellow historian partner, Jason. And I'm also happy to chat about our shows on the BQN Collective on Facebook. And I am also on Twitter and on Blue Sky as the Goddess Livia. And you can see there my opinions about Star Trek history and leftist politics.
Don't forget all our other great shows on BQN. And here's Amy Nelson to tell you all about them.
What shows are on BQN, you ask? Well, here's a rundown of some podcasts you might be interested in. All Good Things, a Star Trek Universe podcast covering all of Trek, hosted by Amy, Mark, Christos, and Kelvin. Bargain Bin Gamer, a YouTube show hosted by Davey, a self-proclaimed gamer who specializes in reviewing and showcasing affordable video games. If you're lost in the Delta Quadrant, check out The Captain's Couch, a Star Trek Voyager podcast hosted by Jeremiah sitting on Janeway's Ready Room couch. Cinema Z, a film discussion and review podcast showcasing films you probably missed but should definitely check out, hosted by Mark, Matt, and Laz. Beam Aboard the Galaxy Class, a Star Trek Next Generation podcast covering all of TNG, hosted by Amy, Joe, Rhea, and Kevin. History with the Szilagys, a snippet of historical events from around the world, hosted by Chrissie and Jason. For the newest Trek coverage, check out Infinite Diversity, hosted by Chrissie and Thad. Test your Trek knowledge with Treksperts Quiz, a Star Trek quiz show hosted and written by Davey. Union Federation, covering all things Star Trek and the Orville, which we all know is really a Star Trek show, hosted by Kyle, Kevin, Amy, and Haley. Spill the Tea with What's the Tea, Bev, a Trek current events and fan interview show hosted by Christos. And for our Patreon members, we have The Hive Mind, BQN's monthly roundtable discussion with hosts and listeners. It's Green, a cornucopia of topics hosted by Mark. And Amy's Math Moments, a quick look at math moments in Star Trek, hosted by Amy. We know you have a choice of podcasts to choose from, and we thank you for listening to BQN. Assimilate the audio.
Thank you so very much for tuning in to Infinite Diversity. Thank you to Zach Tripp for the wonderful theme music and Mark White for the awesome show art. Please subscribe in your favorite podcast player, and don't forget to rate and review us there as well.
If you want to reach out, you can find the network on Twitter and Blue Sky at BQN Podcasts, or our show specifically at IDIC Podcast. You can also talk about any and all of the BQN podcasts in our Facebook group, the BQN Collective. When you next hear from us, we'll be talking about our next episode of Lower Decks, A Few Badgies More. Until then, peace and long life.
Infinite diversity.
I seriously, like, one of the biggest, I feel like they say that people who become millionaires become really conservative and shitty people. And I'm like, I kind of want to be tested on that because, like, I would support so many people who are doing really awesome things. And I mean, I like to think I would.
I also would like to think I would. At the very least, I would like to test the theory that money can't buy happiness because, you know, that may be true, but I would be happy. I would love to have firsthand evidence one way or the other.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
On a basic thing, it can buy security, which is an element in happiness, which is. No, you just reminded me because I'm the same way with that, with the money. There is a church in town. I put the picture up on Twitter last week. They had a sign up that they were doing a food pantry, and then it said you needed state ID and proof of state assistance.
Saw that. Ugh.
And I'm like, you know, that makes me so mad. And I saw it, and I said, you know what? If I had money, I would literally set up a food pantry across the street that with a big old sign that said, "Come get food if you need it."
Yeah.
So the ridiculous thing on that is, I guarantee that church is strongly doesn't want there to be public assistance programs. I'm sure they believe, well, it's the church's job to do this. So why are they using the state's system to decide who is worthy of food or not?
Yeah. So yes. Excuse me. So yeah, if we all ever become millionaires, we can test that. Yeah, food, shelter, clothing sufficient for what is needed. You know, shoes, things like that. Anyway, I just you know, and that's. I want to stand out there with an atheist T-shirt and then, you know, a big old sign that said Jesus didn't ask people if they were, you know, got government assistance before he handed out the loaves and the fishes.
Yeah.
And
sorry,
I don't think they did in the provinces, but the Roman Empire actually famously did do government assistance for food.
They did, but you did have to have a little coin.
Okay.
There was one that showed that you were a citizen, at least until everybody was a citizen. But still, yeah, they handed out an amount of flour or wheat each month to make sure that people survived. Anyway, okay.
Yeah, I was homesick quite a few years ago and binged like basically 2 weeks straight of a show called Canada's Worst Driver.
Oh wow.
And I loved it. I loved every minute of it. It was ridiculous.
What is that? Just like videos of people getting into accidents and stuff?
It's actually they bring a group of people in for driving lessons, basically, and putting them into ridiculous situations, and it ends with a driver's test. So it's actually like pretty good. Like you're getting some bad drivers.
There's development.
Yeah. But it was still, it had all the reality TV tropes and stuff and making people look like fools and all that kind of stuff. But it was great.
Here I was thinking it was a clip show of just, you know, like people
like America's Funniest Home Videos, but bad driving.
Yeah.
Oh, I do watch those on YouTube. Yeah, idiots in cars is kind of what you want to search to find that.
Oh, my favorite ridiculous idiots on YouTube. I like watching cruise ship pier runners.
Oh.
Those are the people who don't make it back to their cruise ship before it leaves.
Oh,
Wow. Okay, I have a new thing to look up.
That would be
That's great.
terrible.
So they
but
like
also,
run down
okay.
the pier, like waving their arms, trying to get the ship to come back, and it won't.
Like anybody's going to notice, yeah.
Well, even if they notice, they're still not coming back.
Oh.
Well, take a flight to the next port of call.
Well, see,
your
that's the
only
thing.
option.
With the restrictions these days, you usually can't even do that. They won't let you back on from the next port either.
Oh, wow.
You just have to go home.
Without your stuff.
Yeah.
Oh,
Well, I mean, they'll
Yeah,
send you your
that's
stuff,
terrible.
but
what? Yeah. Yes. Oh, yeah. Have you ever seen I think it's called the 11.8 bridge or 11
Oh,
4
yes.
8 inches. Where
Yeah.
it just peels the tops off of trucks.
there's a bridge like that in the town where I grew up, where every couple months a truck would get stuck there for like an entire day, and it would make traffic terrible.
I bet.
Because the way the bridge was, the way the road sort of goes down under the bridge and then comes back up on the other side. So it's
yeah.
fine for normal size cars, but if your vehicle is large enough that the back is still on the above part when the front gets to the above part. And like the town has like they've put so many signs up, and it doesn't matter because the trucks will follow their GPS, and if they're cheaping out and using regular consumer GPS and not, actual the GPS that truck drivers are supposed to use, but costs a lot of money, then it'll just take them there. And they can't like dig down on the road and do a change because it's a state route, so they'd have to get the state to agree to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway,
Yeah, that's good.
my favorite thing about that though is when the and I'm sorry, this is completely off topic, but when
'Cause we've not been
when that
that.
ship got stuck in the Suez Canal last year,
yeah.
2 years ago, I'm not sure. Someone photoshopped it under the bridge, and it was
Oh, that's beautiful.
one of those amazingly niche memes that only applies to the people in the town I grew up, but it was still hilarious.
I love it. Love it, love it.